Hello everyone, my name is Gusti Hannan Yusuf and my partner name is Muhammad Alif Firdaus. So today we're going to explain our topic entitled Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton are not truly a hero according to modern feminism value. Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton have might help the early women's rights movement. But it was all pointless because modern feminism questions many of the values they fought for. But modern feminism focuses on gaining equality for all kinds of women, including race, class, religion, and etc. Unlike Anthony and Stanton movements, which was centered and biased. Who is Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton? Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton were both a key figure leading in the women's rights movement. So, Susan B. Anthony, born in 1820, was an American women's rights activist and social reformer. She was born into a Quaker family in Massachusetts, where ideas of equality, discipline, and social justice were strongly taught. From a young age, she believed that men and women should have the same rights. Anthony first worked as a teacher, but she became angry when she discovered that women were paid much less than men for the same work. This experience pushed her to become more active in reform movements. She later joined the abolitionist movement, fighting against slavery and then focused strongly on women's suffrage, the right of women to vote. Susan B. Anthony is best known for her direct activism. She organized campaigns, gave public speeches, and was arrested in 1872 for illegally voting in a US presidential election. Her actions challenged the law and social norms of her time, making her a powerful symbol of resistance against gender inequality. And then Elizabeth Cady Stanton, born in 1815, was a leading feminist thinker and activist in the early women's rights movement. She was born into a wealthy and educated family in New York. Her father was a judge and lawyer, which allowed her to learn about the legal system, but also made her aware of how the law discriminated against women. Stanton received better education than most women of her time, like Anthony did, but she was still denied equal opportunities because of her gender. This equality deeply influenced her ideas. So in 1848, she organized the Seneca Falls Convention, the first women's rights convention in the United States, where she helped write the Declaration of Sentiments, a document demanding equal rights for women, including voting rights. Unlike Anthony, Stein focused more on theory and writing. She criticized marriage laws, religious patriarchy, and traditional gender roles. She believed that women's oppression was rooted in both law and culture, especially religious teachings that supported male dominance. So they together put on effort in fighting for women's rights, including the rights to own property, having fair wages, and etc., but mainly focuses on suffrage in the 19th century America. Why it is significant and what is modern feminism? The problems that we see in today's era could be traced back if we look at Anthony's and Stanton's limitation in the women's rights movement. Most of the problems that occurs today in America, like racial issues, social class inequality, and intersectionality, came from the roots of the first wave of feminism, where back then Anthony's and Stanton's only centered on mainly white and middle class women. That contradicted to the modern feminism idea that focuses on inclusion, intersectionality, LGBT rights, and supporting women from different races, classes, and identities. where all kind of women should be represented and welcome. How it connects with American studies. American studies helps us to understand this issue by connecting the past movements of Anthony and Stanton to the present problems. By tracing its legacy of Anthony and Stanton movements, we can see that how the limitations of early feminists contributed to ongoing problems that happen today in the USA. So this field helps us that modern feminism did not appear suddenly, but it appeared as a response to the failure of the past movements which Stanton and Anthony did. The next section is going to explain by my partner, Muhammad Alif Firdaus.
Next, case study of Women's March movement in 2017. Anthony and Stanton had limits in their views on race during the 19th century. Their struggle mainly focused on protecting the dignity and rights of white women. Because of this limitation, racial problems related to feminism can still be seen today, especially in the United States. One example is the Women's March in 2017 in America. The movement received strong criticism from women of color, who said that the leaders and messages of the march did not represent their real struggles. A similar situation happened during Anthony's and Stanton's time, when the 15th Amendment was passed and black men were given the right to vote. They were angry because women were not included. They believed that white women should receive voting rights before black men. This reaction shows that their racial bias and their belief in a racial hierarchy that placed white people above black people. Because of these views and actions, Anthony and Stanton are difficult to see as true heroes. Instead, they can be considered heroes mainly for white women, not for all women. Next, now the comparison of early feminism and modern feminism. The focus of early feminism is more focused on voting rights and the rights of white middle class women, while ignoring race and class. But in the modern feminism, their focus are more broader. They focus more on all race and classes, intersectionality, and the inclusion and representation of all women. Next, and then we come to the conclusion. While Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton played important roles in early women's rights movements, modern feminism shows that their ideas were limited and do not match today's values. Modern feminism focuses on intersectionality, racial equality, class justice, and gender inclusion. But Anthony and Stanton believe in a narrow form of feminism that supported mainly white middle class women. When we look at the problems inside modern feminism in the United States, such as racial conflict in the Women's March movement, we can see that many of the problems come from the limitations of early feminism. Because the values of modern feminism are much broader and more inclusive, the ideas of Anthony and Stanton seem outdated and sometimes even harmful. Therefore, they cannot be seen as complete heroes when we look through the lens of modern feminist thought. Next, here are some references that we use for this topic. Next, that's all for our group's presentation. Thank you and see you in the next chance.